The galaxy once exiled an alien race called the Zereth. Long ago, in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, the decision was made. The Zereth were branded dangerous. Too proud, too warlike, too different. They were not destroyed, but something worse was chosen for them. They were exiled. The Council stripped their fleets, shut down their trade, and sent them to a barren star system at the far edge of the galaxy. A place with no fertile worlds, no rich resources, no allies. The message was clear. You do not deserve to exist among us. Survive if you can. Die if you must. The galaxy will not care. And so the Zereth were cut off. For generations they struggled. Their population dropped each year. Their cities fell silent, one after another. Food ran out. Diseases spread. Their ships broke apart, and there were no parts to repair them. Other species told stories of the Zereth's slow death. Proud warriors, now reduced to beggars. Once a mighty fleet, now only bones remain. No one will ever hear from them again. The galaxy believed the Zereth would vanish, just like old civilizations that disappeared into dust. But then something strange began to happen. Rumors spread along the trade routes. Whispers carried from one smuggler to another. A freighter captain swore he saw lights returning to the Zereth colonies. A merchant claimed he sold crops to someone with human currency. Others reported unusual activity near abandoned jump gates. Still, no one paid attention. After all, who would waste resources on the doomed Zereth? And yet, reports continued. Entire Zereth settlements that were supposed to be starving suddenly had food. Cities that were thought to be dying now glowed with power again. Something or someone was helping them. The Galactic Council dismissed it as lies. Stories made by smugglers, nothing more. But the whispers would not stop. One counselor asked, if they are truly being helped, who would dare break our exile order? No one answered, because everyone already suspected the same name. Humanity was young compared to the great empires. But they had a strange habit of breaking rules no one else dared to break. Where other races obeyed, humans asked questions. Where others feared the Council, humans ignored its threats. And where others turned away from the suffering, humans stepped forward. The galaxy had seen this before. When a plague broke out on a distant colony, humans sent doctors. When a mining disaster trapped alien workers, humans sent rescue ships. So when the Zereth began to recover in exile, many whispered, it must be Earth. Who else would do this? On the edge of exile space, an alien patrol ship drifted silently. Its crew was bored. No one ever came here. Their mission was simple: watch the Zereth die. But that night, their sensors flashed. Something was moving through the void. The crew hurried to the windows, staring into the black. Out of the shadows came a convoy of freighters, sleek, quiet, and strangely built. They carried no alien markings, no council flags. But their design was unmistakable. Human ships. One after another, they slipped past the blockade. Engines dimmed to hide their trail. The patrol ship recorded everything. Crates of food, medicine, and machinery being unloaded on Zereth stations. Human engineers shaking hands with Zereth leaders. Even small escort warships guarding the convoy. The aliens on board stared in shock. This is impossible, their captain whispered. No one defies the Council, but the recording did not lie. Humanity was breaking the exile. Humanity was saving the Zereth. By morning, the news would spread. Some would be furious, some would be afraid, and some would wonder, what is Earth planning? Because if the whispers were true, then the Zereth were no longer dying. They were rising again, and behind them, in the shadows, stood humanity. The recording spread through the galaxy like fire. The alien patrol ship had captured everything human. Convoys slipping through the darkness. Cargo containers filled with food, medicine, and tools. Zereth children laughing as they ate human rations. Human engineers walking openly on Zereth stations. The video was undeniable. At first, the Galactic Council tried to silence it. They ordered the footage deleted. They threatened to punish anyone who shared it. But it was too late. Copies had already reached smugglers, traders, and diplomats. Now, every major empire knew the truth. Humanity was helping the Exile. In the council chambers. Chaos erupted. Ambassadors shouted across the hall. Some demanded immediate punishment. Others argued for caution. They break our laws. One counselor roared. The Exile was absolute. No one was to interfere. If they aid the Zereth, they defy us all. Another screamed. But a smaller voice, trembling with fear, asked the question no one wanted to answer. What if? The humans don't care what we say? The chamber went silent. Far away, on Earth, leaders already knew the storm was coming. Inside, a hidden underground command center, generals and ministers gathered. The air was heavy with tension. On the central screen, images of starving Zereth families were displayed. Skeleton-thin bodies. Entire villages destroyed. Children with no future. The room was quiet until a human general stood. The galaxy abandoned. Them, but we will not. Murmurs spread. Some agreed. Others warned of danger. If we continue, one minister said, the council will call us traitors. They may send fleets against us. The general's face hardened. Then let them come. 4 years, Earth had been quietly preparing. Human convoys were not random. They were organized, protected, and supplied by secret shipyards hidden in asteroid belts. Every crate of food, every medical kit was part of a larger plan. Earth did not just want the Zereth to survive. Earth wanted them to rise again. Meanwhile, on the Zereth homeworld, the change was dramatic. Where famine had once ruled, new crops grew in fields under artificial suns. Where hospitals had been abandoned, fresh medicine filled their shelves. Where broken ships had rusted in silence, repair crews, human and Zereth together, worked side by side to rebuild. For the first time in centuries, the Zereth felt hope. They began to believe they were not forgotten. And when they asked who had saved them, they were told one name, whispered with respect: humans. But hope brought fear too. The Zereth leaders met in secret councils of their own. Some feared accepting humanity's help. They will paint a target on us, one elder said. The council already wants us dead. Another replied, then without. Humans, we will surely die. At least with them, we may stand again. The debate went on, but deep down they knew the truth. Without Earth, they had no chance. Back in the Galactic Council, plans for punishment were already forming. Some demanded sanctions. Some wanted blockades. And some liked the warlike Vedris. Empire demanded open war. They must be taught their place, said the Vedris representative. If we allow humans to do this once, they will do it again. Who will they save next? What other laws will they break? A cautious voice rose. But have you forgotten the reports? The humans destroyed 3 pirate fleets last year with ships. No one recognized. Their technology is advancing too fast. The Vedris only laughed. They are a young race. We will crush them easily. But not everyone was convinced. Fear was spreading. In the outer colonies. Traders began whispering a new phrase: Earth does not forget. 1 month later, the council made their decision. An official message was broadcast across the galaxy. The humans of Earth stand accused of violating council law. They are hereby ordered to cease all aid to the Zereth immediately. If they refuse, they will be punished. The message was meant to frighten Earth. But when it reached the human command center, the response was simple. A human admiral smiled coldly. Punished? Let them try. And so, convoys continued. Even more ships slipped into exile space, guarded by sleek human warships. Every day, more food arrived, more medicine, more machines. The Zereth, once fading into nothing, began to grow. Strong again, the Council was enraged. Their threats were ignored. Their warnings were meaningless. At last, they took a darker step. A Council fleet was dispatched. Hundreds of ships left orbiting stations, armed and ready. Their mission was simple: stop the human convoys by any means necessary. To the galaxy, it was just routine patrol. But to the Zereth, it was the shadow of death returning. As the fleet entered exile space, panic spread. The Zereth had no fleets strong enough to resist. They had no weapons to match the Council. Without Earth's protection, they would be erased once and for all. But then, the stars shifted. Sensors lit up across the system. From the darkness beyond the asteroid fields, human warships uncloaked, dozens of them. Sleek, black, and silent, they took position between the Zereth colonies and the incoming fleet. Their weapons came online. Shields flared. Engines glowed with restrained power. A single human transmission went out, calm and cold. If you fire on them, you fire on us. The Council fleet hesitated. The galaxy held its breath. The Galactic Council met again in secret chambers, away from public eyes. Reports about human convoys were spreading too fast to ignore. Entire colonies whispered that Earth was moving resources and weapons across blockaded space right under the Empire's nose. Impossible, one counselor hissed. Humanity has no fleets. Their shipyards are weak. They cannot outmaneuver our patrols. But evidence kept arriving. Patrol ships that went searching for the convoys never returned. The few that did limped back with broken engines and shredded hulls. Their captains refused to speak of what they had seen. The Zereth, once weak and starving, were no longer dying. Their colonies showed signs of new power. New cities rose where ruins once stood. New energy grids lit up planets that should have been barren. Someone was giving them more than just food. Someone was giving them technology. And the galaxy feared only one answer: humanity. In the dark void, far from the Council's spying eyes, humanity's secret war machine moved in silence. They had been planning for this moment for decades. Long before the Zereth exile, long before the Council had tried to corner Earth, humans had built in the shadows. Vast shipyards hidden in asteroid belts. Factories disguised as lifeless moons. Convoys of disguised freighters carrying raw ore. To hidden construction sites. The galaxy thought humans were weak, but Earth had learned one thing: never show your strength until the time is right. Inside one hidden hangar, a colossal warship was being prepared. It was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Not sleek and polished like alien cruisers, but massive, armored, bristling with weapons. A fortress in space. Admiral Sarah Kane stood at the viewing deck, her eyes fixed on the monster ship below. Crews swarmed over its hull, finishing the last details. Its name was painted in bold white letters across the black plating. Resolute. They still don't believe, she said softly. Good, that gives us time. Beside her, Commander. Haviland smirked. The Council laughs at us. They think our fleets are myths. Let them laugh. When we move, the galaxy will see what Earth has been building. Sarah nodded. And when they see, it will be too late. Meanwhile, on the Zereth homeworld, alien eyes looked up at the stars with growing hope. They knew their mysterious saviors were human. Supply convoys no longer just brought food. They brought medicine, machines, and most importantly, blueprints. The Zereth engineers worked side by side with human advisors. Together, they rebuilt power plants, designed defense grids, and retrofitted old warships with human weapons. The Zereth leader, Kellervay, stood in the great council chamber of his people. Once it had been a broken hall, half in ruins. Now it gleamed with new energy and light. He looked at his people and declared, "We were abandoned, cast out, left to die, but we did not die. Humanity has given us a chance not out of pity, but out of defiance. The galaxy will learn that we are not forgotten. We are not weak. Together with Earth, we rise again." His words were met with thunderous roars. For the first time in generations, the Zereth felt strength in their bones. Not everyone cheered Dot across the galaxy. The council prepared new measures. Fleets were mobilized. New blockades formed around suspected human routes. Spy probes were scattered across trade lanes. The council was afraid. Yet, the more they tightened their grip, the more the whispers grew. Alien traders swore they had seen vast convoys slipping through the dark, escorted by massive shadows that didn't match any known. Warship design. An old saying began spreading through cantinas and markets. The humans are moving. Back in the hidden hangar, Admiral Sarah received a transmission from Earth itself. The High Command spoke with cold certainty. The Zereth are stable now. Phase 2 begins. Deploy the fleet. Sarah turned to the viewing window. Before her stood not just the Resolute, but dozens of warships hidden in the dark, silent giants waiting for her command. She smiled, though her voice was steel when she gave the order. Wake them. Every ship. It's time the galaxy remembered what humans can do. And deep in the void, as engines came to life and colossal ships turned their guns toward the stars, a new shadow began to rise. A shadow no one was ready for. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. The human fleet, hidden for decades, emerged from the shadows in perfect formation. Hundreds of colossal warships glimmered in the black void. Smaller escorts darted between them like deadly insects, fast, silent, unstoppable dot above the Zereth colonies. The fleets converged. Humans took their positions with calm precision, shields glowing, weapons primed, engines humming with barely contained power. On the council side, panic spread. Every admiral and commander had assumed humanity was weak, a young race with limited reach. Yet now, before their eyes, the impossible was unfolding. The humans were no longer small. They were an army capable of reshaping the galaxy. In the council chamber, arguments erupted. "They are too strong," cried one. "They cannot be stopped," whispered another. "Recall every fleet. Withdraw," ordered a desperate voice. But it was too late. Council officers stared at sensors, showing human ships uncloaking from every dark corner of Exile space. Supply lines were cut, patrols destroyed, and the Zereth fleet rebuilt with human help was standing ready alongside them. The counselors realized something terrifying. This was not just protection. This was a warning. On the Zereth homeworld, Kellervay watched the humans take position in orbit. His people, once starving and broken, now stood with a powerful ally. Engineers rushed to reinforce defenses, soldiers trained on upgraded weapons, and civilians offered their hands to help in whatever way they could. Keller whispered, "The galaxy left us to die. But now they will see we cannot be ignored." The first strike came, not from humans, but from the council fleet. Hundreds of energy beams tore through space, aiming to destroy the human escorts and the newly repaired Zereth warships. But the humans were ready. Ships moved like shadows, dodging and weaving. Missiles vanished before reaching shields. Energy. Beams dissipated into the void, blocked by advanced deflectors no empire had ever seen. Every attack the Council launched was met with calculated countermeasures, their warships surviving strikes that should have obliterated them. For every cruiser lost on the Council side, 2 of theirs remained unscathed. Then came the Resolute. The giant warship humanity had hidden all these years. It moved like a colossus across the battlefield. Its weapons pulsed with energy that lit the void. One single beam tore through the Council flagship, the pride of the Armada, splitting it apart in seconds. Alarms blared across the Council fleet. Commanders froze. The humans did not need to chase them. The Council ships were already retreating, abandoning formation, scattering in fear. Admiral Sarah Kane's voice cut across the comms in a calm, chilling tone. To the Council, you exiled the Zereth. You left them to die. Humanity refused to watch. If you return, if you attempt to hurt them again, you will face the full force of Earth. The galaxy has been warned. The Zereth are under our protection. Remember this day. Across the void, the message spread faster than any fleet. Traders, smugglers, and spies carried it through every star system. The whispers grew. Earth does not forgive. Earth does not forget. The galaxy had seen wars, destruction, and conquest before. But humanity's act was something else entirely. Protection mixed with wrath. Aid mixed with unstoppable force. Every empire, even the largest, now understood the truth. Humans were no longer a weak, young race. They were a force that demanded respect. Back on the Zereth homeworld, celebrations erupted. Children danced in the streets. Soldiers stood proudly with upgraded weapons. Engineers showed their creations to human allies. The people who had once been abandoned and left to die were alive, thriving, and ready to reclaim their place in the galaxy. Kellervey looked at the stars. He whispered, almost to himself, "We were left to die. But now we will never be forgotten. Not by the galaxy, not by anyone. Humanity gave us a second chance." And in the hidden command centers across Earth, leaders smiled. They had not only saved an entire race, they had sent a message that no one would forget. Humanity would protect those who needed them, and the galaxy would think twice before ever exiling another civilization. For centuries, the Zereth would tell the story. And for generations, the galaxy would remember. When the exiled were abandoned, when the weak were left to die, humanity would stand, and they would fight back as the Council fleets limped away, humiliated and broken. One thought spread through every empire. If Earth decides to act, none of us are safe. And in the void beyond the stars, humanity's fleet drifted silently, watching over the Zereth. They did not boast. They did not celebrate. They simply waited, prepared for whatever the galaxy might throw at them next. Because one thing was certain. The galaxy had learned a hard truth: humans do not abandon those in need. And anyone who threatens them will face the consequences. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter over the Zereth colonies, a quiet symbol of survival, hope, and the unstoppable will of humanity. The Council fleet slid into the Exile system like a storm. Hundreds of ships in perfect formation, their hulls glowing with the emblems of half the galaxy. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, an armada designed not to fight a war, but to send a message. The message was simple: obey us or be erased. At the edge of the Zereth homeworld, panic spread. The skies filled with streaks of light as the alien fleet broke into orbit. Civilians crowded streets, staring upward with fear in their eyes. For generations, they had lived with hunger and despair. For generations, they had learned to expect nothing but suffering. And now, when they had just begun to rebuild, the Council had returned to finish what Exile had started. But this time was different. This time, they were not a lone dot in the black void beyond the Council fleet. Space itself seemed to shimmer. Dozens of dark shapes drifted out of the shadows, silent, sleek, their weapons glowing faintly with restrained power. Human warships. They did not roar. They did not boast. They simply took position, forming a wall between the Zereth colonies and the Council's armada dot. It was not a show of force. It was a statement. If you want them, you must go through us. The alien commanders were stunned. They had expected a few freighters, maybe small escorts, easy targets to destroy. But this was not a few. This was a fleet. Heavy cruisers with thick armor, stealth frigates gliding like predators, carriers bristling with hidden fighters. All of it human. The Council's flagship opened a channel. "This is a violation of Exile law," a cold voice said. "Remove your ships or be destroyed." For a long moment, silence filled the stars. Then a calm human voice replied, "No, if you fire on them, you fire on Earth." The galaxy had heard many threats before, but this was not a threat. It was a promise. Inside the Council fleet, confusion spread. Some captains hesitated. Others demanded immediate attack. One commander sneered, "They bluff. Humans are reckless, but they cannot face the combined strength of the Council." Yet another captain whispered, "Look at their formation. They are not afraid of us. Why?" No one had an answer. Meanwhile, on the Zereth homeworld, people watched in awe. For the first time in centuries, they saw warships standing guard above their skies. Warships not here to conquer, but to protect. Children pointed at the streaks of light. Elders whispered prayers. Soldiers, long beaten by despair, clenched their fists with new resolve. "Humans," one Zereth commander muttered. "They are willing to die for us. But why?" No one could answer. But everyone felt the truth. Hope had returned. The standoff stretched on. The Council fleet had numbers. The human fleet had determination. Then, quietly, the Zereth detected something shocking. Power grids that had been dead for centuries were alive again. Entire cities glowed. Factories hummed. Shipyards, once abandoned, sparked with new activity. The Zereth were not dying. They were recovering, and the Council finally realized it was not just food and medicine humanity had brought. It was knowledge. It was industry. It was the spark of survival. Back aboard the Council flagship, anger boiled. "They are rebuilding a fleet," one officer shouted. "With human help, the Zereth will rise again. This cannot be allowed." The Admiral's jaw tightened. "Ben, we will crush them before they are ready." His hand hovered over the command to fire, but before he could speak, another alarm rang. Dozens of new signals had appeared, more human ships jumping into the system. Reinforcements. The Admiral froze. The Council had expected weakness. Instead, they found strength growing before their eyes. A transmission cut across all channels. A human admiral appeared, his face calm but unyielding. "You speak of laws, but who made those laws? You speak of justice, but what justice is there in starving children? What honor is there in watching a people die?" The Council replied with cold words. They were dangerous. They were exiled for the safety of the galaxy. The human admiral's eyes narrowed. "And who decides that? You? You think yourselves gods? No, you are cowards who choose the weak as your victims. We will not stand by. Not this time, not ever again." His words echoed across the system. The Council fleet wavered. Some captains argued to retreat. Others demanded war. But hesitation spread, and hesitation was poisoned out because everyone watching now knew one thing. Humanity was not bluffing. If the Council fired, the humans would respond with fire of their own, and no one truly knew how much Earth had hidden. In the shadows of the galaxy, traders, smugglers, and spies whispered to each other. "Did you hear?" The humans stood against the Council. They didn't back down. No, they faced the entire fleet, and the fleet hesitated. The whispers grew. The legend spread. And for the Zereth, something greater happened. For the first time in centuries, they were not prey. They were not forgotten. They were protected. But protection came with a price, because now the Council had a choice: back down and admit weakness, or strike and risk a war that could set the galaxy on fire. The Council was proud. The Council was angry. And pride mixed with fear is always dangerous. In the silence of space, the decision hung like a blade. The Zereth waited. The humans prepared. The galaxy held its breath. And then the Council Admiral gave the order. Target the humans. Prepare to fire. The Council fleet bristled with weapons. Energy cores flared. Missiles armed. Dozens of carriers began launching strike craft into the void. The order had been given. Target the humans. Prepare to fire. The words echoed like a death sentence across the channel. On the other side of the standoff, the human fleet did not retreat. They did not scatter. They only shifted into tighter formation, shields glowing with calm blue light. On the Zereth homeworld below, entire cities froze in silence. Civilians gathered in the streets, watching the sky with dread. Parents clutched their children. Soldiers who had no weapons clenched their fists, powerless to stop what was coming. The galaxy had abandoned them once before. But this time, death came not in silence. It came with the roar of 1,000 warships. The first shots rang out. Blinding lances of plasma streaked through space, tearing across the void toward the human line. Entire volleys of missiles followed, hundreds of warheads streaking like fire across the block. The Council expected panic. They expected to see the human fleet scatter, shields failing, wreckage burning. Instead, they saw something else. At the front of the human fleet, a single cruiser lit up. Its shields flared white as it absorbed the incoming fire, but the ship did not break. It held, then its hull shifted. Panels slid open, revealing strange arrays glowing with deep red light. The arrays pulsed once. And then the missiles vanished, not destroyed, not deflected. Vanished. Council officers gasped. What did they just do? The human ship had unleashed a weapon no one recognized. A weapon no empire had ever seen. The human admiral's voice cut across the silence. You wanted war. Now you will see what Earth has prepared. His hand lowered. Fire. The human fleet unleashed its response. Silent beams of pure energy, invisible to the naked eye, cut across space. Council shields flared, then collapsed like glass under pressure. Entire cruisers tore open in seconds. Carriers, once thought indestructible, cracked and split. And then the second wave came. Human torpedoes, sleek and black, streaked toward the Council formation. At first, alien officers laughed. Torpedoes were old weapons, easily shot down. But these were not old. Each torpedo split into dozens of shards mid-flight, accelerating to impossible speeds. Defense cannons couldn't keep up. In seconds, 5 Council destroyers were gone, reduced to drifting wrecks. Panic spread. They have technology we don't understand. Our shields are useless. Retreat, retreat. But the order to retreat never came. Pride chained the Council fleet in place. To run now would mean humiliation before the entire galaxy. So they pressed forward, throwing everything they had at the humans. And the humans held. On the Zereth homeworld, people cheered through their tears. For the first time in generations, they watched their enemies bleed instead of themselves. Children pointed at the skies, shouting, "Humans!" Soldiers who had once felt powerless shouted, "Stand with Earth." Elders whispered prayers, their voices breaking. The Zereth were not alone. Inside the Council flagship, chaos reigned. Officers scrambled to understand. How can a young race wield such weapons? This is impossible. The Admiral's face darkened. Impossible or not. If they win here, the Council's authority dies. We must destroy them. He gave the order. All ships full assault. No retreat. The void exploded with light. Thousands of fighters swarmed. Battleships fired every cannon. Missiles, torpedoes, beams, all of it filled space in a storm of destruction. And yet, the human fleet did not break. Their ships fought with precision, every move calculated. Fighters struck like daggers, slipping through enemy formations. Cruisers shielded the Zereth colonies, refusing to let even a single shot touch them. The humans were outnumbered, but they fought like predators. Every council loss brought fear. Every human victory brought awe. Then, in the heart of battle, the humans revealed something even greater. From behind the main fleet, a massive shadow moved. At first, the council thought it was a moon. Then it turned. Engines flared. Hull lights came alive. It was no moon. It was a warship. Bigger than anything the council had ever seen. Larger than their dreadnoughts. Its hull carried no name, no markings, only the dark steel of Earth. The Zereth whispered in disbelief. The council trembled. The humans had not just sent aid. They had sent monsters of war. The warship opened fire once, just once, a single beam, Roop.